So as I'm printing out this poop basket, I kind of smack my lips a little. No, not like that, more of a, does my mouth taste a little like plastic? Then I questioned something I hadn't really thought of. Is it harmful to sit next to a 3D printer while it's running? Built, not bought, or something along those lines. Speaking of lines, I bought a 3D printer. It's 2025, why shouldn't I be able to manufacture plastic parts in my home? Yes, I need storage solutions for my AA batteries that look like a beer crate from Japan. No, I don't really have time to dive into another hobby, but I'm doing it anyway. I started where any other good hobby starts, at the quick start guide. Yes, I did read the fucking manual. Now, I'd heard that Bambu Lab was like the Apple of 3D printing, the solution for those who don't want the printer to become the hobby, which is not my goal. But then they went and changed some terms of service or something, and it seems the entire community has collectively lost their minds over it. I, for one, don't mind handing all of my data over blindly. I'm doing it pretty much with every other app and service I use, so why would I start caring now? But hey, it's your data, your choice. I digress. The manual. I started by placing this big box on the table. No, actually, that's a lie. I started by first clearing out this room of shame. Having just moved into this house, I filled that corner of the floor with an unorganized pile of filmmaking and other bygone hobby-related accoutrements. Then I put the big box on the table. Now what follows is an abridged, but nevertheless, hopefully a little helpful version of events that should act as a bit of a setup guide for you maybe if you're looking to put your Bambu Lab A1 and AMS light together as per the manual. Remove the packaging. Remove the Z-axis limiter mounting screws and detach these Z-axis limiters. Continue to remove all packaging. Install the build plate. Mate the base housing and the printer frame. It actually goes together pretty easily, I was surprised. Now for what proved to be the trickiest part of the setup, opening the Y-axis cover. Not a word of a lie, this thing felt like it would either never move or snap if I just looked at it funny. Once you wrestle the Y-axis cover as well as your inner demons, you can install the base housing screws that are conveniently labelled for base housing into the base housing. They even highlight the holes for you, how nice. Put the Y-axis cover back on and say a quiet moment of thanks that you will never have to deal with that again. Now take this very expensive machine and lie it precariously face down on your table, knowing that with even the slightest misstep, it'll all come crashing down around you, or just put something heavy on it. Plug in the electronics underneath, don't pinch this cable. Set your printer right way up once again and fold out the touchscreen. Now you can install your purge wiper, a sentence I never thought I would write, record a video for, or publish on the internet. There is a screw conveniently labelled for purge wiper. It connects the purge wiper to the printer. This was troublesome. The screw goes into a hole you definitely don't expect it to go in, and I don't have footage of this hole. This is for privacy reasons. Just keep touching your purge wiper gently until you find it. Once you do find it, stick that screw in. It's now time to set up the AMS light. Screw the unit to the base. Slide the spool holders into place, which is easily done by matching up the colours. Rip to our colourblind friends. Position the AMS next to the A1 and connect the tubes. Two will be longer than the other two. Plug the two longer ones into the further away holes. Connect the AMS light to the printer. Turn the printer on and get cracking with connecting it to your home Wi-Fi network to complete the rest of your setup. See the earlier note on connectedness. Your mileage may vary. Scan the QR code to be taken to the Chinese version of the app, or go to your local app store and find your version. Connect up any spools that you might have to the AMS light and feed those in. Then there's some auto calibration stuff, and oh, by the way, you have to open up that bloody Y-axis cover again to lube up the tracks. Why could I have not done this earlier? With that setup out of the way, it was time to print something. We're calm. A1 poop wasn't something I thought I would find myself searching for, but here we are. Pretty much anyone online talking about beginner 3D printing says to print a poop basket first, so that's where I started. I wanted something small and something relatively quick to print just to get a feel for the printing process, and also something useful to catch my poo flingings. It was, of course, incredibly easy to go to the Maker World and find a whole bunch of things to choose from. Again, say what you want about the connectedness of Bambu Lab, but browsing an item, choosing it, sending it to the slicer, slicing it and printing it, it was really easy. Really easy. And I, a complete beginner baby boy, didn't have to lose my mind aligning some axis or leveling the bed or working out what layer height should be or blah, 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 blah. I just clicked a few buttons and it worked for me. That's what I want out of this hobby. So as I'm printing out this poop basket, I kind of smack my lips a little. No, not like that, more of a, does my mouth taste a little like plastic? Then I questioned something I hadn't really thought of. Is it harmful to sit next to a 3D printer while it's running? Well, that's a rabbit hole, isn't it? On one hand, you have half the internet, or Reddit, claiming that it's completely fine, especially if it's PLA, and that you are an idiot for even thinking that sitting next to a high temperature extruded plastic machine would be harmful. Our semen, or seas, are full of microplastics anyway. What's the big deal? And VOCs? Well, yeah, you get VOCs from off-gassing in a brand new car, and they make bloody air fresheners out of that smell, don't they? Well, I've been on Reddit for 10 too many years, and I'll not take the hive mind at its word, so I went and looked at the other alt side of the argument, and it was basically 3D printing will be the asbestos of our generation. Well, fuck, I should probably back it all in, right? Well, no, hold up, because it does seem, for the record, that the jury is still out about safety, but I think it's pretty obvious that something is happening when you're melting plastic, and given my mouth was plasticky after like 2 hours of printing, and this is something I want to do for a while, I wanted to find a solution. Case? Don't get a case for the A1, they're not designed to be hot. Okay, great. Fan? Airflow is good. Purifier? Filter? Better. Charcoal for VOCs, HEPA for microplastics? Okay, I'll get a purifier. Or maybe I'll just put the printer out in the back shed. No, I want it here. Maybe I'll look at those cases again. Okay, there's one on Amazon. It has a temperature display in it. I can monitor it and make sure it's not getting too hot. It's not gonna break the bank. I'll test it out and see how we go. Then my mind whirs, it's 3 a.m. I'm thinking about HEPA filters, operating temperatures, and microplastics. Well, you got a 3D printer so you could force yourself to learn 3D design and CAD and be able to just print some fun things out around the house, right? Make this the project. Setting up my 3D printer so it won't slowly kill me, a guide to paranoid plastic mouths. So this is a basic air purifier that I got from my local Bunnings. It ticked 3 boxes that I needed it to. It had a charcoal filter, a HEPA filter, and it was the exact amount that I had on a gift card that was weighing down my wallet. Check, check, check. This pop-up tent thing from Amazon is designed with the A1 in mind. It has a hole in the side for ventilation, so I thought to myself, why not create a system where I vent out all of the nasty shit from inside the case directly into the air purifier, which will then filter it out, and I'll just put that air purifier next to the open window when I'm printing with the ceiling fan on. And surely that's enough overkill, right? Well, time will tell because I haven't bought an air quality monitor, so I haven't been able to do a before test or an after test. So maybe someone send me one and I'll follow up with another video. Now I need to learn CAD. I've dabbled with Blender, not CAD, I know. I'm pretty good at SketchUp, not real CAD, I know. And I didn't want to spend an arm and a leg on actual CAD software without knowing if I'd actually use it. Then I found out about Onshape, which is completely free. The only catch is that all of the projects are completely public and accessible, unless you pay for the software, which is totally fine for me. In fact, I'll link this file below if you want to check it out for yourself and laugh at my probably many mistakes that I made. But ha 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 ha, laugh all you want, I've modeled something relatively complex here, haven't I? Looks to be about the right shape. Yes, I did measure. Looks to be about the right curve radius. Yes, I eyeballed it. It has cutouts on 2 sides to allow general room air to pass through. And then I put a tube on the back that the vent tube will go to. And yes, I have some weight reduction hexagons for style and weight and filament reduction. That said, actually, I'm new to this, so I think it maybe made my print longer and maybe used more filament with all the supports that were required. So should I put speed holes in these things or not? Someone tell me in the comments. I then created a hose coupler thing that goes on the outside of the case and created a fan mount / shroud thing that holds the fan on the inside of the case. Had to also create an insert ring because the one that I printed, when I first printed it out, I realized I'd fucked up the measurements. But hey, this is my first go at CAD and 3D printing, so cut me some slack, all right? So in theory, the fan will suck air from the case and the tube will also suck air from the case via the purifier double suck. It's the double suck method. Then I got to work printing it, and you know what? I definitely noticed a difference in general mouthfeel when the printer was running in the enclosure. I printed this over a couple of days in batches because, again, brand new to this, I didn't know how much to push it at first. With the first print, I actually didn't change up any settings, so I ended up with a much higher res print than was actually necessary. But then once I got to the big guy, the housing for the purifier, I dropped that all the way down to draft quality, the chillest supports I could find, and it was about 8.5 hours, so not too bad. Printed without a hitch, and baby, it fits perfectly. This guy CADs. But does it work? Well, first I had to put the magnets in. I'd left no tolerance in the inserts, hoping that there would be a little bit of play and that I could just press fit the magnets into the holes that I created, which turned out to be the case. But I also opted for just a little bit of super glue in there just to keep everything nice and tidy. I paid super close attention, making sure that the polarity of the magnets were correct because I want them to join on either side of the tent. Given how tight these lads are going to be sitting in their holes, I didn't want to have to push them out again. I also burnt my tongue on this sip of coffee, which is probably what distracted me because I completely fucked up the polarity on 2 of the magnets, and then I had to spend 30 minutes trying to dig those little bastards out so that I could flip them around. And yes, that is a wooden mallet from a child's toy box, so what? When it came to installing it all, I opted for putting the printer and the AMS on the floor under the desk. With the tent up on it, it was taking up a bit too much space, a bit of in terms of looks, and basically it fits perfectly under the desk, allowing for me to sit the purifier up top, closer to the window, and also it gives me a bit more assembly space up top. I like it. Inside the tent, it's a bit of a squeeze, but you can see how the fan sits in this Tom fucked up the measurements collar, and then that collar sits into the coupler, which mags to the other side of the tent with the hose coupler. Then the hose, or the vent tube, I guess, I'm going with hose. The hose is held on with some ring clamps on both ends, and that's about it. Now to casually light a bamboo chopstick on fire in my room because I don't have any matches or incense to demonstrate the airflow, and I gotta prove that the Tom patented double suck theory actually does work, and baby, does it work? The answer is yes. Now I can start on some actual projects, I guess. Do I like the look of the tent versus the printer just sitting on the desk? No. Do I like how the AMS just sits out here next to it? No, but I've seen some brackets that I can print out that will put the AMS on top of the printer and will actually fit inside this particular case, so TBC on that. Do I think this is complete overkill? Maybe. But you know what? It can't hurt, it's probably helping, and it was a great excuse to get to know the printer and to start working out how to model things in CAD.